right, so episode 39. So today we're talking about a subject that apparently 70% of people possess at some point in their lives, and this is a little thing called imposter syndrome. I feel like this has been very prevalent in my life right now, and I'll explain why, but before I do, let's discuss what imposter syndrome is. So, imposter syndrome is defined as the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So, that being said, I did some research on the topic and came across Dr. Valerie Young, who is an author and is supposedly an expert on the topic. She discovered that not all, like imposters, if you will, define competence in the same way and categorized imposter syndrome into 5 different subgroups. There's the perfectionist, the Superman or Superwoman, if you will, the expert, the soloist, and the natural genius. So I thought let's discuss, let's dive into these. First comes the perfectionist, someone who sets extremely high standards for themselves and just beats themselves up when they don't reach them. For the perfectionist, you believe that you should deliver a perfect performance 100% of the time, and when you fail to measure up to these unrealistic high standards, it only confirms your feelings of being an imposter, and the drive for perfection and the fear of failure can leave you deliberating over these minor details, either procrastinating or even overworking. So next you have the Superman. So the Superman feels they should be able to excel at every role they take on in their life, basically. Competence rests on the ability to juggle multiple roles pretty much masterfully. You believe you can do it all and are unable to say no, even if you're struggling to keep up with everything. For the Superman, competence has as much to do with how many things you can handle and equally how well you can handle all of them. You tell yourself, if I were really competent, I would be able to do it all. The third subgroup of imposter is the expert. Now, the expert expects to know everything and they feel ashamed when they don't. Your primary concern is how much knowledge or skill you basically possess. The expert believes that there must be a certain threshold of experience needed to be considered successful or competent, rather than, like, for example, learning as you go. The self-talk sounds something like, if I were really smart, I would understand everything and remember everything that I've basically consumed or read. That's what the expert basically feels. Now, fourth, we have the soloist. So the soloist needs to work alone and they refuse to take credit if they receive any kind of assistance. As a soloist, you mostly care about who completes the task, and you typically turn down help to prove your worth as an individual. In the soloist mind, the only achievements that really count are those that you've reached on your own. The fifth and final subcategory of imposter syndrome is the natural genius. Now, the natural genius tells themselves that everything must be handled with complete ease, otherwise it's not a natural talent. And true competence means having this inherent intelligence and an ability. And since intelligence and this so-called natural ability are seen as like innate, the thinking here is that success should be effortless. You strive to master any new skill and believe that if you work hard at something, then you must not be very good at it. So coming back to me, I think the type of imposter syndrome that resonates with me the most as a whole, I guess, would be the Superman. I kind of discussed this last week when I talked about how 2024 will be the year of experimenting for me for sure. But each week there are just so many different aspects that I look at in order to define my week as successful. I need to perform well at work. I need to go to the gym, preferably 4 days a week. I need to spend meaningful quality time with my wife and try to be social to some degree, whether that's with friends or family. I need to find time to meditate. I need to find time to read or listen to an audiobook. I need to work on this podcast and get a new episode up every Saturday. There are just so many individual little things that I'm trying to do. And if I end up finishing my week doing all of these except for one, in my mind, it's not a successful week. And I was not competent enough or dedicated enough, I guess, to do it all. And I'm just this lazy piece of shit. Basically, that's what's going on in my mind if I don't get all of these individual things done. And more specifically as to why I'm talking about this topic of imposter syndrome this week. So I've mentioned it a few times, but I just started a new job in early January, and basically it involves me starting up a brand new social media department from the complete ground up, right? New accounts on everything. Now, all of the qualifications for this role I've pretty much done to some extent throughout my career. I've built social strategies, I've run paid ads, I've monitored analytics, I've presented to clients, like all of this stuff I've done throughout some time in the last 5 years. But currently, it's just me in this department. Everyone else in the company has a really strong background in Amazon and e-commerce as a whole, but not necessarily social strategy. And here's where the imposter syndrome comes in. So I've always created a strategy or run an account and have been able to just pass it off to someone who has a good knowledge of social and get their thoughts on it and verify that I'm basically going in the right direction. But now the training wheels are off and I don't have anyone to be like, okay, move forward. This looks good. Go ahead. Now it's just me basically taking an educated guess and hoping everything goes according to plan based on the experience that I've had and the extensive research that I'm doing to try to just fact check my way through every process. And as I'm about to send over like any recommendations, there's just this overwhelming thought process of, I don't know if this is right. I need extra eyes on this. I need some type of verification from someone to give me the approval really that I'm looking for. But that validation just isn't coming because I'm the most qualified person when it comes to social media at this new job. And that's a scary thought, right? To lead the charge on something without anyone else really looking at it. And when I'm looking at my life outside of work, it's incredibly just easy for me to say, I haven't really accomplished much. I've been extremely privileged and a lot of my like so-called success has been handed to me in my opinion. And which, don't get me wrong, like I'm extremely grateful for everything that I do have, but going back to the subcategories, it's like I'm being the soloist. I didn't do any of this on my own, therefore I can't take any credit for it. For example, one weird thing I noticed recently when I got married was that so many people were like coming up to me and just saying how proud they were of me, and I didn't really know how to respond, so I just said thank you and moved on. But I didn't really get it. Like, you're proud of me for getting married, I guess. I don't know. That seems weird for, I don't know, something to take credit for. Like, I didn't really do anything. Like, it makes sense for people to be like, I'm so proud you married this girl specifically because she's accomplished tenfold of what I've ever done. Like, that makes more sense to me, and I'd 100% like agree to that. But just to say in general, I'm so proud of you for getting married is an odd thing to say, I guess. But and even after I do accomplish something, the question of what gives me the right to be here often kind of flows through my mind because I can't internalize my own experiences of success, which is funny because I can so easily identify success in other people around me, I think. For example, looking back at work now and social media specifically, over the last few years, I've met and grown relationships with some extremely just creative people who have grown these massive followings on social media. And I look at myself on a personal level, being in this industry and knowing that I haven't achieved this just level of mastery or success, and that just deepens my internal thoughts of you're a phony, you don't know what you're talking about. But I guess it's just something that I have struggled with or am struggling with. But one thing that I found interesting in my research on this topic was the overlap between imposter syndrome and social anxiety. A person with social anxiety may feel as though they don't belong in a social setting or performance situations. And this I really resonated with. Whenever I'm in a group of like 3 or more people, I feel like I tend to be just a lot quieter, because in the back of my mind, there's this self-talk that it's like, there's no way people want to hear some bullshit story that I might find relatable to whatever topic we're talking about. So instead of like chiming in, I'll either just stay really quiet, or I'll just keep badgering people with so many different questions, just to keep really the pressure off me and to keep them talking. But how do we get over imposter syndrome, right? I can't just bitch about this all day without sharing some of the information I found about how to overcome it. So first, you have to accept compliments. Instead of saying, no, my performance was so-so, or it was nothing, or I didn't do much, this person should take all the credit for it. So instead of doing any of that, just say, thank you, I really appreciate it, and move on. That's step 1. Step 2 is to limit your social media use, which I completely understand. It's impossible not to compare yourself to other people when you're on social media. The purpose of social media basically is to share the best moments of your life, or highlights of your day, whatever it is. But it's the best time that you're really putting out in the world. And when you take an hour or 2 every day looking at how great everyone else is doing and how amazing their lives are, it's only going to make you feel shitty about yourself, right? That only makes sense. So get off social media. Next comes the worst one yet, and that is opening up. So this is definitely a struggle. But apparently secrecy and shame are key features of imposter syndrome. So expressing yourself, or your self-doubt to trusted people in your life can help you just overcome your imposter syndrome, while also basically seeing how other people see themselves. And in my case, I'm deciding to post this on the internet, and airing out all my shit here, but I don't want to open up to people in my direct life, I guess, because I don't know, they don't need to hear or be bothered with all my fucking problems, that's not their problem. So instead, I'm just airing out my grievances week by week to you guys. Yeah, imposter syndrome just sucks, right? Eventually, I think there will be a time when I stop just caring so much, which will be nice, like just to be living in the moment and doing the best that I can do. Like that's really all you can ask for. So that's the dream, I think, is to just not care, not give a shit, and still do good work. That's really the goal. But anyways, that's all I have for this week. I hope you guys had a great week. Besides my constant bitching, I also had a pretty good week. Once I post this podcast, I'll be able to check off everything on my to-do list so I don't feel incompetent. The Superman goal will be achieved for the week, so that's great. Yeah, things are going good, I guess. So I'm just doing some deep diving into my mind and seeing how I can focus on self-improvement every week. But that being said, thank you. I appreciate you listening or watching, and I will talk to you next week.